Hey, what is going on, YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day here. And guys, we've got a fun one for you here in today's video. And in today's video, we are running the Halland here, which has the fastest torpedoes in the game. Now, for the particular build we are running, we're actually not running Space Fishy. However, if you do equip Space Fishy, as we show you guys here in just a second, I believe you can get these torpedoes up to about 94, maybe even 95 knots, which is just honestly a tad bit unrealistic, all things considered, but this is a simulator here. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and go over a few of the things that we were running for this particular build. We are, of course, running the legendary torpedo reload mod. And with this build, and I show it here in just a second, we have 90 knot torps, which reload about every minute and 12 seconds there. Now, this, of course, is the build that we are running, Mr. Stig Hansen Eriksson here with Subsurface Venture, which adds a little bit to the torpedo speed and reduces that reload time of the torpedoes as well. You do sacrifice a bit for the guns there. However, the guns actually have a pretty decent reload on their own. I believe it's 2.2 with this particular build. And we're sort of running a meme build. Now, with that meme build, you could definitely make an argument for either of these two perks here. However, Perceptive is just such a strong perk there, letting you know where the closest enemy ship is with that little half gray circle sort of midway up your screen. Sheltered Arms there, of course, if we were running the Torpedo Reload mod, and of course, Unstoppable. Now, again, for this game, I wasn't quite paying attention. We were running Sims and Bay there for concealment and health. Considering you don't have any smoke screens, you do have heals, but Sims just gives you a little added HP, not only for that, but it does actually add a touch of health to those heals, as well as it is based on your overall HP pool. Now here, of course, is the commander you want to add as an inspiration, Mr. Space Fishy here, which gives you added torpedo speed. If you want to get that full 94, I think it is, knots top speed, but even base without really any inspirations, you can see here, 15-kilometer range with a 90-knot top speed, and with our reload perks, we've got it down to 73 seconds with a fully maxed out torpedo reload mod. I think it's like 65, something crazy like that. So spamming torpedoes in this boat is certainly fun. It's not the most effective in terms of just overall, destroyer play, but variety is the spice of life, and playing the same, Gdansk, Z-52, Kleber type games every game does get a little bit boring. And as we guys just saw with the video that we posted the other day, burnout is real. So I'm just trying to have some fun and have some memes, and this is the game that we got right here to encompass all of that. I do want to pivot for just a moment here, because I thought it was pretty obvious in that video that I said that I'm not leaving, or that I don't hate the game. I'm getting a little bit bored of it. And most people understood that. The video had like a 97, 98% like ratio. However, there were some people that still just, I don't know, they just take everything in a negative light. I'm not leaving the game. I don't hate the game. I don't think the game is dying even, but I am getting a touch bored. And again, anything that you play 5 to 6 years, that will happen. So in an effort to try and prevent a little bit of that, I'm going to be trying to do more fun videos, more videos that I think the viewer will enjoy, and also videos that are somewhat simple and easy for me, as my time is very limited. I just got back from an 8-hour trip up to visit the fiance's family. I have work and training, and I feel like I've just missed so much, but I do want to provide half-decent quality content for you guys. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this sort of style where we try potentially just off-meta builds, per se. I don't even think that's what you would classify this as, but just maybe potentially different, slightly unique builds in a fun format with a joyous replay here. But anyway, we'll get to the games, and for those of you who understood what I was saying in that video, I really appreciate you guys. The support has been insane. I'm not quitting, I'm not leaving, I just don't see myself doing this consistently as I have been for very much longer. But alas, let's go ahead and get to the gameplay here. Utilizing the speed of the Halland's torpedoes right off the bat here, we are throwing somewhat of a set of zoning torpedoes towards this Prussian in the back there. And by the time that those get on target, I should have another set reloaded for potentially any destroyers, which is obviously in the cap here. Something else I'm also doing is I am maintaining, right, this defensive posture. Now, we did sail in somewhat broadside. However, I am not located. And yes, the destroyer could possibly throw some zoning torpedoes as we connect one there without a flood. And that is sort of the trade-off of these torpedoes. They are very fast, they have a very long range, they have a very good reload time, however, they don't do that much damage. And there in turn by default, I believe, and one of my Reddit or Discord dorks is going to have to correct me on this if I'm wrong, when a torpedo doesn't do that much damage, it has a decreased chance of flooding. I'm not 100% sure of that mechanic, but I believe that to be true. And I know I make fun of the Reddit and Discord communities a lot, even though I'm on Discord fairly often, but I'm actually cool with a lot of those people. It's just the ones that don't see the outside very often that are somewhat very opinionated, we shall call it. The armchair admirals is a good way to put it for a majority of cases here. But anyway, back to the strategy portion of this game, and here's a very critical point at this game. We don't have the Charlie cap. Our Velos, for some reason, decided to leave that zone, and you can see that the Vampire there is in Bravo. So I decided to fill the void that my teammates left, and this is a strategy that is honestly what you're going to have to do if you want to win more games. Now, of course, we're in a division here with the Chad man himself, Mr. Bravo Foxtrot, but as you can see, our team is not, they don't have great position. Our Yamato is already dead, and while our team did get a nice elimination on the destroyer on the opposite flank, our team's positioning is terrible over here on this Charlie side. We have a Schlieffen who is YOLO rushing into the Charlie cap, and if he can time his sonar up, decently, he should be able to get some damage off of that destroyer potentially. But as you can see, that destroyer has now left the cap. He knew that the Schlieffen was pushing. So now if this Schlieffen goes down, our team is in a very bad position. This Vampire is going to get the Bravo cap. I have no idea what our Velos is doing, and we don't have any map control. So, as I was mentioning, we're going to go ahead and move on over into the void that our teammate left. We communicated this to our teammate in Bravo. And sometimes, while it is not the most effective strategy, it's what you have to do if you want to give your team a chance to win. If I would have stayed there in the center zone and just try to contest that Vampire or even get Bravo, I probably lose a good amount of health doing so. Now, of course, with teammate support, being how good of a player Bravo is, we probably could have done it, drawn out that Vampire, but he has all the advantages against me. The Halland and the Pan-European destroyers, especially without the radar, I'm not sure why they didn't give the Halland a radar when they gave the Småland a radar, but alas, they are very weak in, number one-on-one gunfights, but in this tier without an aircraft carrier, these aren't the meta destroyers. You don't have the best guns, you don't really have that great of health, and while you do have decent concealment, fast torpedoes, fast-firing guns, and a heal, you're probably going to lose a lot of 1v1s without team support. And while spamming torpedoes can certainly be effective, as you guys will find out here in this game, you want to make sure that you don't put yourself in positions sort of how I put myself right here. We can clearly see that that Vampire is still the closest ship to me, and while I do have some team support, if he manages to catch me out and pop his smoke screen, I'm going to be taking a lot of damage. Now, hindsight is always 20/20, but I should have been a little bit deeper into this cap, especially ready to run away, because as it turns out, this Vampire is headed that way, which I should have known. My twist and track was already on him, but we actually do manage to connect a few good shells there, and despite him already missing a good majority of his health, this is not a great position for us. You can see that that Velos is over there shooting, or that Ohio rather, has thrown some shells. On top of that, the Velos is able to shoot at us. We get a few additional salvos from the Vampire, one from that battleship, which I believe was in his division, and one from the other battleship there. So for a short time, I was being shot at by 4 or 5 of the enemy team. And yeah, it's just not going to do you well in the Pan-European destroyers to find yourself in those engagements too often. Now, with some beautifully placed torps from Bravo there, he managed to actually get the elimination from that Vampire. We would have gone dark one way or the other. He smoked up and we weren't in the range or, that close of the range of the other ships. And of course, we stopped shooting there. However, in that quick, engagement time, we lost about half of our health. We do have one heal remaining there, and again, it was a huge help from Bravo to help get that elimination. But again, just showing you guys, you really have to pick and choose your engagements in these ships. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to the next few minutes here, because this is honestly when most of the fun was had for me. We're basically free to torp here as long as we don't get caught by the Velos, and that's actually what I'm realizing right now. The turning circle is not the best on these ships, so you just want to remain at mid to long range here and not get detected. But we actually managed to catch a few torpedoes on that Ohio, one of which was somewhat of a permanent flood. And this is, I had a gentleman question me about, I think it was the liquidator medal. This is the best way, or at least the best way to put yourself in good position to get the liquidator medal. Staggering your torpedoes that we're doing right here. As you can see, we managed to connect another few on that Ohio. So he is now permanent flooding. You can also see that this FDG is in the same lane as him. And here is when a lot of people never use widespread, and honestly, in most situations, it's somewhat of a waste. However, with how narrow the pan-European widespread is, I would recommend it, especially in a situation like this, and you guys will see why here in just a moment. There are so many ships in these zones as we managed to connect not one, not two, but 3, 4, 5 torpedoes on both the Velos and the Ohio there for the double strike, and just perfect torpedo salvo there. If we had not put that widespread out, there's a chance that we do the same thing, but for some reason that Velos wanted to smoke up his Ohio, which is honestly a great team play there. But as you see, it didn't work out because we had constant zoning torpedoes. And because we increased the surface area of those torpedoes, we gave ourselves a better chance to hit more targets. Now, if you have yourself a typical moronic battleship player sailing in a straight line, use the narrow spread, especially for a lot of the other ships. The IJN line comes to mind. That widespread, unless you just don't know what the enemy player is doing, use the narrow spread. But when you have an enemy that is somewhat erratic, they seem rational in their decision making, right? Not sailing in straight lines. When you have this widespread here, you're increasing your potential for a hit. And sometimes one hit with a flood and then a follow-up fire is far more detrimental than potentially getting 2 hits. Now, of course, that's a lot different based on the ship you're using, right? IJN torps do a metric shit ton worth of damage. But for a ship like this, especially with how limited our damage is, it's far more important simply to get that potential 1 or 2 hits with a flood and then a follow-up fire. On top of that, if you do stagger your torpedoes, this is not the best example of that because we launched one set and then about 5 to 10 seconds later we launched the second set. But if you do manage to stagger your torpedoes there, you launch one set, they get hit, it causes a flood, you launch the second set, and now they are on damage con, and you can potentially get that liquidator medal, and here's a great example of that. I believe he probably popped the damage con for the fire and the flood that Bravo landed on him. As you can see, I think he's trying to blind fire me here. So we were utilizing the smoke of that Velos to get in close here. But here's, again, a situation you just don't want to find yourself in too often. But he is now on fire and flooding. And yeah, we are just racking ourselves up a beautiful little damage total here by simply just utilizing the strengths of the ship, right? Staggering your torpedoes, remaining at mid to long range. We did help our team in filling in the void. We got an elimination on a few of the ships there, and we have, like I said, put our team in just great position to help win this game. So by applying the principles of playing the objective first, we have managed ourselves a high damage game. It's just really irksome, if that's the right word to use sometimes, when you see destroyer players go out of their way to try and torpedo battleships at the back of the map instead of playing the objective. Now, in certain situations, by all means, go out and play and get your damage, right? It works. It just doesn't work more than getting the objective does, right? Because now that we have all of these objectives and the elimination on the destroyers, the enemy is forced into one of two things. They're forced to either sit in the back and eat torpedoes, such as they did, or they're forced to push into us, and they really didn't have that option because our teammates at A had a pretty decent flank. But with that torpedo, and I believe permanent fire there. We are taking our way well up into the high caliber territory, and with a final few little ticks there, we do manage to actually get it, as well as the elimination for our 4th kill there. So a beautifully played game, in my humble opinion, of course, with a nice little damage total there and a beautiful first place XP finish. And if it wasn't for the greedy Bravo stealing my kill, we may have had ourselves the beautiful participation trophy, aka the Kraken medal there. So a nice little game, a fun little game. As I said there, guys, I'm not going to be streaming and putting all my effort into this game because I'm putting that in other areas of my life. I just wanted to express that in the video that I posted a few days ago. So if someone took negative light to that, then honestly, just don't watch. I don't care. But for the rest of you Chads and Chaddises out there, I really appreciate the support, guys. Yeah, like I said, I'm lucky and blessed that I get to do this. So I'm going to try and be doing some more fun videos with maybe unique builds. Recommend some different stuff down below, and I'll try and get that on stream. And if I get a good game, then we'll have the option to make it a video. So I love you guys. Have a great day, man. AA Ron out. Peace.